Good afternoon.
Who exactly is the victim in the Johnny Depp Amber?
Wala pa pala. Bakit? Good afternoon. Ito. Di ba nadidinig?
Good afternoon po. Narinig ko.
Oh. Magre-respond kayo at di ko alam kung nadidinig nyo ako. Hindi kayo magsalita. Dire-diretsahin ko yung salita kayo. Bahala kayo. So, yung nung ano bang araw ngayon, Monday? Nung Friday, nag-stop tayo sa numbers 13 and 14, no? Tama?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay. So, yung number 14, magkano yung cost ng in-process at the end? Magkano yung cost ng in-process at the end? 56,000 ang cost ng good units, ng completed units. O magkano yung cost ng in-process at the end? Wala nag-solve? Hinintay pa i-discuss? O ano, anyone? Ay, naku, Diyos. Ano na? Walang nag-solve? Anyone? Wala? Ay, walang sasagot? Hindi na. Dali lang naman ako. O anyone? Wala bang sasagot? Wala nag-solve na number 14? Walang nag-try? Anyone? Oh my gulay. Ano ba itong mga ito? Matatapos na lahat eh. Miss Balgos, Kayla. Ano ba ito? Hindi ba ako nadidinig? Anyone? Miss Santos?
Ma'am, hindi po ako nakapag-school.
Bakit hindi nakapag-solve? Pagkatapos, wala na. O, sino nakapag-solve? O, kahit hindi ka nakapag-solve, Agagas, Mikey, kahit hindi ka pa nakapag-solve, na-discuss natin yung number 13. O, ano yung number 14? Wala mag-try?
$11,000 po, ma'am.
O, 11,000. Ay, naku, kung seryoso kayo dito sa accounting, mag-aral kayo ha. Kung di kayo seryoso, ay lumipat-lipat na kayo ng course. Kung hindi kayo seryoso, hindi nakukuha ito sa ano. Okay, number 15 and 16. Basahin ng 15 and 16. Ignacio, baby Erica. Ignacio.
A sporting goods manufacturer buys wood as a direct material for baseball bat. The forming department processes the baseball bats and transfers the bats to the finishing department where additional work is applied. The forming department began manufacturing 10,000 bats during the month of May. There was no beginning inventory cost for the forming department for the month of May follows. Direct materials 33,000, conversion cost 17,000.
Magkano yung total cost charged to the department?
50,000 po, ma'am.
50,000, okay. Quantity schedule, gawin mo, basahin yung paragraph number 2.
A total of 8,000 bats were completed and transferred to the finishing department. The remaining 2,000 bats were still in process at the end of the month. All of the forming departments, direct materials were placed in process, but on average, only 25% of the conversion cost was applied to the ending work in process inventory.
Okay, o sige. Una muna, gawin ang quantity schedule. Ilan na equivalent production para sa materials? Ha? Ilan na equivalent production para sa materials?
18,000.
po?
O, ito si Miss Ignacio, diretso mo. Ha? 10,000 units lahat yan, 8,000 ang natapos, 2,000 ang nasa in process. Lahat ng materials ay inilalagay at the start of the process. Oh, all of. Ano ba ito? Hello?
Hello, Rita.
Bakit po? Teka, sandali lang ha. Nagtuturo ako. Bakit to? Ay, ngayon na. Sige na. Continue. Mayroong istorbang tumawag. Miss Ignacio, ilan na equivalent production for materials?
18,000 po.
Bakit 18,000? 10,000 lang lahat yan, oh. Paano mo nakuha 18,000? Ha? Paano mo nakuha 18,000? 10,000 lang lahat. Ang sinimulang i-manufacture ni forming department. Saan mo nakuha 18,000? Dinoble mo. Oh my
Opo.
God.
Sorry po.
Ay, naku, ayusin mo nga ha. Mag-aral ka. Diyos mio, ano ba yan? Miss Ayesa, Bilog.
Yes po. 8,000 po, ma'am.
Ilan?
8,000 po.
Bakit 8,000? Saan mo naman nakuha yung 8,000? Ha? Ayesa, Bilog. O, ano? Paano mo nakuha yung 8,000?
Yung tanong po ba, ma'am, is yung completed and transferred po?
Sabi ko,
yung-
equivalent production. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng equivalent production? Ha? Ilang units naman ang materials meron? Yung lahat ng 10,000 units. May materials ba yung completed? May materials ba yung in process? Wala rin? Hindi pa rin maintindihan? Pakailang problem na, Diyos me. Datugan, April Jane. Ano sabi?
Sa completed po, 8,000 na materials. 2,000 na materials.
O, ilan lahat?
10,000 po.
O, doon sa conversion costs.
Conversion cost po, completed 8,000 po. In process,
Tapos,
500 po. Total of 8,500.
unit cost. Materials. Paano mo kukompute ng unit costs? Ha?
Wait lang
Miss
po.
Datugan.
Try ko po.
O, itatry. Napakadaming problem na di-discuss natin.
Sa unit cost po, ang sagot is, sa materials po is 3.3. 33,000 divided by 10,000 po. Then, sa conversion cost po, 2 po. 17,000.
Total unit cost.
Total unit cost po is 5.3 po.
Okay, magkano ngayon yung cost ng completed units transferred to the finishing department?
42,400 po. 8 times 5.3.
Okay, next. Yung cost allocated to the in-process at the end.
Wait lang po.
Pagka ba hindi kayo pinagsusolve, hindi na kayo nagtatry mag-solve? Ha? Magbasa man lang?
7,600 po.
O paano nakuha yung 7,600? Ah,
2,000 times 3.3 po yung sa materials. Then 500 times 2 po equals 1,000. So 6,600 plus 1,000 is 7,600 po.
okay. Ayos, May. Yung iba sa inyo, pag hindi ba kayo pinagbabasa, hindi na kayo nagbabasa. Okay, oo. Ganyan ang mabuting trabaho ng estudyante, ha? Okay, kaya pala yung mga exam nyo, iisa yata ang pumasa, ha? Out of ilang kayo? Ilan lang ang isa pa lang ang nakikita kung pumapasa. Okay, next problem. Alonso Manufacturing uses a process costing system to accumulate costs related to the production of Supergrow, an industrial strength hair grower. Materials costs and conversion costs for last quarter are provided below. So given yung manufacturing cost for materials at conversion costs at ang equivalent production na for materials tsaka conversion costs. All materials are added at the beginning of the production process. So if the number of bottles completed during the quarter is 255,200, what is the total cost that should be assigned to these bottles? Gutierrez, Hasmin, May. Gutierrez. Ano na yan? Wala. Wala. Pag hindi kayo sumagot ng 3 beses ko kayong tawagin, i-remove ko kayo. Gutierrez.
Wait po, ma'am.
O ano? Paano mo kukompute na number 17? Ha? Paano pino-compute ang total cost ng completed units? Ha? Given na dyan, kung ilan ang number of bottles completed, ano ang hahanapin mo?
Yung
Ha?
ano
Ang ano?
Yung wait po, ma'am.
Palagi kayong wait. Palagi kayong wait. Wala akong panahon mag-wait. Sindanom, Rhea. Sindanom, Rhea. Ano? Paano mo kukumpute yung number 17? Given a number of units ng completed goods, anong kailangan mong hanapin? Ano ang ginagamit to compute for the cost of the completed units?
Tama ko po.
O sige.
Ano po, ma'am? Yung sa materials po is 281,650 po. I-divide po siya sa ano? 262 po. 262,000 po.
Oh,
Ano po siya? 1.075 po.
ano yun? Ano yung tawag doon?
Yung unit cost po.
Okay, sa
Ayun.
conversion cost,
Ano po? 348,705 divide 258,300 po is 1.35 po.
okay,
Pag pinag-add po,
tapos,
equals to ano 2.425 po.
2.425, hindi 245 ha, 2.425.
Multiplied
So, the
po.
total unit cost is 2.425. So, anong
Yes po.
gagawin? You multiply
255,200 po equals at ano po 618,860 po.
Okay. Paano naman yung in process at the end of the month? Makukuha mo ba yung number of units for materials na in process at yung number of units for conversion costs sa in process for the month, end of the month? Ha? Miss Santiago.
Wait lang po, ma'am.
Ay, naku, alisin nyo nga sa vocabulary nyo yung wait, ha? Alisin nyo sa vocabulary nyo yung wait. Oh, wala na? Paano makukuha ang total units in process for materials tsaka conversion costs? Given na yung total equivalent production, ha? Given na yung total. And then, nandun na yung completed units. So, paano nyo kukunin ang in process at the end? Ha?
Mama ko po.
O, sige.
Ma'am, ang ginawa ko po yung sa 18 po.
Oh. Ano ginawa sa 18?
Pinag-add ko po yung 281,650 po. Tapos
Tsaka?
348,705 po yung cost po ng materials at 20,355 po. Minus po yung
Oh.
total cost na kanina po 618,860 po. 11,495 po yung
Oh, that
units.
is correct. That is one procedure, ha? Given the total manufacturing cost, dalawa lang naman ang pupuntahan, completed units saka in process, you subtract the cost of the completed units from the total manufacturing cost. So you will get the cost of the in process at the end of 11,495. Paano ko ang tanong ko naman, ilang units, ilan ang equivalent units sa in process for materials? Ha? Ilan ang equivalent units sa in process for materials? Hoy. Ano? Miss Sindanom, kung ang tanong ko naman, ilan ang materials cost doon sa 11,495? Ha? Ilan ang materials doon? Oh, yan na. Miss Indanom, kung hindi ganun ang gagawin mo, tama naman yung 11,495. Ngayon, ang tanong ko naman, ilan ang materials doon at ilan ang conversion costs? Hindi na alam. Ay, Diyos ko. Anyone? Ha?
7,310 po sa materials. Then sa
Paano? Kinuha?
equivalent production po 262,000 minus yung cost transferred po natin na 255,200 equals 6,800 po. Then yung 1.075 po natin minultiply po doon equals 7,310 po.
Okay, that is correct. Ang total equivalent production, 262,000. 255,200 ang completed. So, ang number of units ng material sa in-process end ay 6,800. I-minus, ha? And then multiply by the unit cost. Sa conversion naman, 258,300 ang total equivalent production. 255,200 ang completed. So, ang equivalent units ng conversion cost sa in-process end ay 3,100. And then, multiplied by the unit cost of 1.35 is equal to 4,185. Kaya ang total ng dalawang iyon ay 11,495. Okay, next. Yung sa numbers 19 and 20, there are 210,000 units started, 110,000 ang natapos. Ay, tama ba? Okay. 70,000 ang units in process at the end. So kung i-add nyo yung dalawang iyon, nawawala yung 30,000. Now yung under Calvin's cost accounting system, the costs incurred on the lost units are absorbed by the remaining good units. Ang ibig sabihin ng absorbed by the remaining good units ay yung completed at ang equivalent units sa in-process. So, do not assign work done sa lost units so that the unit cost would be the total cost divided by the good units only. The completed of 110,000 plus for materials, 70% ay 70,000 times 100% kasi materials are added at the start of the process. And for conversion costs, 110,000 plus 50% of 70,000 or 145,000. So, hindi lalagyan ng work done sa lost units dahil ipapasa ang cost niya doon sa sa good units lang. No? Okay, next. So, numbers 21 at 22 ay base sa information for M department. M department has two producing departments, A and B. Department A works on raw material XYZ and then transfers it to Department B. After Department B puts on its finishing touches, it transfers the product to finished goods inventory. So yung flow nito, magsisimula kay Department A, lahat ng raw materials. Pag natapos, ipapasa kay Department B. Pag natapos kay Department B, pupunta na sa finished goods inventory. If Department A had put 95,000 units into process during the period and had ending work in process of 21,000, ilan ang natapos kay Department A? Olidan, Angel May. If Department A had put 95,000 into process and had ending working process of 21,000, ilan ang natapos kay Department A? Olidan. Isang tawag pat di ka sumagot, i-remove kita. Olidan. Olidan. Okay, magsisagot. Quaresma, Justin. Quaresma, Justin.
74K.
74,000. Okay, so ang ipinasa kay Department B ay 74,000. Kung ang natira kay Department B ay 12,000, how many units were transferred to finished goods inventory? Quaresma, Justin, 74,000 common received ni Department B. Kung ang natirang hindi natapos ay 12,000, ilan ang nalipat sa finished goods inventory?
62,000 po.
Okay, 62,000. I'll continue with number 22. M company adds direct materials at the beginning of the production process in Department A. If Department A's ending units in process are 60% complete as to conversion costs, what is Department A's equivalent units for materials? O related pa rin yan doon sa number 21. Department A adds direct materials at the beginning of the production process. So ilang units ang equivalent? How many units are there for materials? Sila na equivalent units for materials. Quaresma, Justin, di pa ako tapos.
95,000.
95,000. How about conversion costs? Conversion cost ilan? 60% complete daw yung ending working process. Miss Gutierrez, ano ba yan? Isang tanong, isang tawag. Miss Gutierrez. Saan na siya? Nawawala na? Okay. Eclibia. Ang ganda ng mga pangalan. Hirap basahin. Eclibia. Eclibia. Kayo magsisagot. Eclibia. Bato. Didicatoria, Nicole. Didicatoria, Nicole. Ay, ano na. Walang sasagot. Didicatoria, Nicole. Puro kayo silent type, ha? Okay. Silent type. Okay. Beso, Raymond. Beso, Raymond. Ay, naku. Ito. Wala yatang magpuproceed sa second year dito sa mga ito. O, sinong pwedeng sumagot? Wala yatang papasa sa inyo, Wala yatang magpuproceed sa second year, Kita-kita ulit tayo next time kung hindi pa kayo lilipat ng course. O anyone, sinong gusto sumagot? Wala, kahit isa? Nadidinig naman si Mr. Perez, John Michael. Ay, ano ba yan? Okay.
69,200 po.
Ilan?
69,000.
Number 22 pa lang tayo, ah. O, Department A, di ba? Inilipat ka ay Department B, 74,000. Completed. Ilan ang in process at the end? Ilan ang in process at the end for Department A?
81,200 po.
Bakit? Eh, 21,000 lang yung in process at the end, di ba? 21,000 times 60%. Ilan yun?
12,600 po.
Oh, 12,600. Ilan yung na-transfer ka ay Department B? Di ba 74,000?
86,600 po.
O, 86,600. Next. Received from Department A, 600,000. Completed and transferred to Department C, 500,000. Ilan ngayon yung in process at the end? Oh, hindi given.
100,000 po.
100,000. Ending work in process is 75% complete. Total production cost, 2,760,000. Total na yun, ha? Materials, labor, and overhead. Ilan ang equivalent production? Ha? Ilan ang equivalent production?
600,000 po sa materials.
Bakit? Wala naman sinabing kung ilan ang materials, oh. Total na yan lahat-lahat, ha? Pag ganyan ang problem, wala namang sinabing ilan ang materials, ha? Ay, ano ba? May sinabi ba tungkol sa materials? Wala naman, di ba? So, pare-pareho ang equivalent production for materials and conversion costs. 500,000 ang completed. Ilang percent daw ang in process at the end?
75%.
Oh, 75%. Ilan yun?
75,000 po.
Oh, ilan lahat?
575,000.
575,000. If the total production cost is 2,760,000 at 575,000 ang equivalent production, ilan ngayon ang unit cost?
4.80 po.
4.8. Next, number 24. Virgo Company completed 280,000 units of product A, has 10,000 units, which were 50% complete as to conversion cost. Direct materials which were introduced at the start of processing cost 435,000, while conversion cost amounted to 142,500. There were no beginning inventories. Gawa tayo ng cost of production report. Ang actual completed and transferred 280,000, in process and 10,000. Kung ang materials ay inilalagay at the start of processing, ilan ang equivalent production for materials?
290,000 po.
290. How about conversion costs? Naku, napakahirap ba naman noon? Completed and transferred 100%. Ilang percent ang conversion? 50% ng 10,000. Ilan yun?
285,000.
85 po.
285,000. Unit cost charge to the department. Materials, 435,000. Ilan ang unit cost? Oh. Ilan ang unit cost?
1.5 po.
1.5. Conversion cost, 142,500 divided by equivalent production. Ilan ang unit cost?
0.5 po.
Oh, total unit cost?
2 po.
2. Okay, total cost? Total cost. Ha? Ilan ang total cost?
560,000 po.
Total cost, 560,000. Yan nyo nga yan. 435,000 tsaka 142,500. Nawala na yung 500. 5 plus 2 is 7. Oh my God. Total cost lang. Hindi nyo pa alam kung paano ko computein. Ano? Diyos ko. O, ilan ang total cost? I-add nyo lang yung dalawang yan. Hindi nyo pa ma-add.
177,500 po.
Diyos ko. 577,500. Costs accounted for as follows. Ilan ang cost ng completed and transferred? Ilan ang cost ng completed?
560,000 po.
Okay. 280,000 multiplied by total unit cost of 2 pesos. How about the in process at the end? How about the in process at the end? Ang materials niya, 10,000 units times 150. Ang conversion cost, 5,000 units times 0.5. O ilan lahat yun? My gulay. Oh, ano na?
17,500 po.
O, 17,500. Ano ngayon ba? Hindi nyo pa masaulo kung paano? Ha? O, next. A company produces plastic kitchenware, uses process costing. So, units started, 160. Units completed, 140. Units in process, 20,000. Dalawang klase ng materials ang nilalagay. Material A added at the beginning. Material B when units are 50% completed. Conversion costs are incurred uniformly throughout the process. O ilan daw ang equivalent production for material A?
160,000.
160. For material B?
140,000.
140 lang. Wala pang materials yung in process at the end. Conversion costs?
145,000.
140.